Everyone be quiet, we're going live. Right, okay, we're live now. Hello everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's After the Fire. We are back after a couple of weeks because someone had to move, didn't they? But yeah, we are back. We are back. And I'm very excited because this is basically, to my mind, like a bonus episode because we're trying to do 10 and now we're on number 11. So let's do that. Let's talk to these lovely people who are assembled before me to play this game while I get excuse me poured for some fuss. Yeah, hello, I see you. Susie.
Hi.
How are you now you've settled into Canada?
Oh, I'm good. Finally the stress, most of the stress is over. I still don't have my computer yet, but I'm physically here. I did it. I got to Canada when everything looked terrible, when the world was dying. I did it.
You had like a whole row to yourself, right?
On the plane. Dude, it was the best flight I've ever had. There was like nobody on the plane, no one in front of me, no one behind me. I had an entire row to myself. I could lie down. I had a nap. It was can recommend, but not, because I also had to wear a mask for like 7 hours and it sucked.
Oh,
but,
all the time?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Had to wear it in the airport, on the plane. It was rough, but did it. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it's good. Although I have eaten most of my Cheeto stash and I can't go out for another week because I'm in quarantine. So that is a terrible first world problem that I'm suffering.
And Susie is officially more southerly than V and I. So if you feel like pointing that fact out to Susie at any point, then please be my guest. You'll get used to it.
Anyway, Sam, move on.
I'm
done. I'm done.
All right, well, let's move on to V. You're back. Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm okay.
You've got some fancy camera now.
Yeah, the stream got fancier because this is what happens when you leave me in a house with nothing to do. I just start tinkering with things.
It's true. As is evident by this beautiful camera.
It's a miracle that I haven't like built a second PC or something in the boredom that I'm in.
That's fair. But you've been streaming a bit, right? We had some Tomb Raider this week, and have you come to the end of BioShock?
Yeah, I got to the boss battle and couldn't beat the boss, so there's going to be a whole. I ran out. I didn't have enough health kits or enough ammo. I did the stupid thing and didn't gear up first. But yeah, the game is melting my brain. But I'm gonna figure that out. There's gonna be another stream for that. I'm just planning.
It's got like 3 mechanics, like.
Yeah. I'm really. James will tell you I'm bad at BioShock. I love it, but I'm terrible at it.
I'm yet to see the VOD because I want to see your reaction to the twist.
My brain melts, Sam. That's what the reaction is. It's just me like.
My favorite bit of video game storytelling. That moment was just like shit.
I had a melt. I went through all the stages of just like shock, anger, like I knew something was wrong. I knew this was dodgy.
I know it all along.
Yeah, I'm just planning next week's birthday stream now. So that's what I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. This is me planning anything. Just like
you had been telling us that you had treated yourself to a birthday present.
I have, yeah. I bought myself a new gaming monitor because I'm bad.
Is that number 3?
It is number 3.
Not even my IT techie housemate downstairs has 3 monitors. And he's in the industry. I'm
lying to myself and saying it's because I'm now streaming more Siege, and therefore a high refresh rate monitor will be good. But these are just lies I tell myself to justify my ridiculous quarantine purchases. Somebody stop me, please.
It's like the reports where you can't figure out if a 4K monitor you can actually tell. Like, your eyes can't actually take it.
I've got lots of stuff with 4K printed on them, but honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anything on like a 4K screen. And so I'm just hoping that like 144 hertz refresh rate has some difference. The YouTube videos say they do. Who knows?
My eyes are currently burning at the thought. All right, okay, cool. Enjoy your new monitor. All right, cool. All right. And Jason, how have you been, my man? How's quarantine life been for you? Kind of these past couple of weeks.
A little bit slower than usual, but I mean, the state's trying to open, which is just a brilliant idea.
We're a funny
not.
Place.
Please, for the love of God, people, stay home, stay inside, wash your hands. Take care of yourself and your families.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. Just looking forward to whatever today holds. he said, knowing what today holds. It's wonderful to be back with everybody's lovely faces on my screen, and yeah, just enjoying a pretty damn good Game of Thrones.
Nice.
I haven't slept.
Oh man.
I don't sleep. I just sort of fall in my bed and then wake up or consciously recollect it 7 hours later.
Yeah, all right. Have you had any, like open question, I suppose, Daniel. Have you had any pandemic dreams yet? You reminded me.
No, surprisingly.
Last night, I genuinely had a dream where I was like, shit, I have a cough. And I'm like, where I was like, Susie, I did a you in the airport. I was like, don't have a cough. Definitely don't have a cough. like, why is my mind doing this to me? And then I woke up and I was like, oh, good, I'm probably not going to die soon. Great, good, okay, good.
Yeah, that'll happen way later, hopefully.
Yeah, super weird, right? But,
yeah, no. Mine have mainly been more about like focused on travel and the like trying to get out of the house, which is just wonderful when you're stuck in the house.
So like it's like counter doing what's going on in the day.
Trying to at least. And then there's a cat, so we're all blessed in some way.
Yeah, keeping me sane. And keeping me sane, Jonathan Fry is back. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back after a couple of weeks away. I enjoyed watching in the meantime, but love playing with all these people and hanging out. I think I've been pretty busy. I'm working on a bunch of stuff that won't matter for a long time, but that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping busy.
That's the life, man. That's the life.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 2021 at work, and I'm like,
yeah, right. But you have to. Yeah. You have to. Looking forward to tonight's session, our extra episodes, just seeing kind of how the story wraps up, because it's been a long time building. I think Charlie mentioned couple of weeks ago, like we're over a year now, playing pretty consistently too. So yeah, I'm just excited.
Can I have a shout out to Jonathan Fry's Patreon? Because I am a member, and Don runs for us a fantastic Dark Sun game that I am having a huge amount of fun with. Last week I was like knackered, and to testify, Don should say, I messaged him beforehand, like 10 minutes before the session, like, dude, I think I'm just going to fall asleep. I'm not going to be like my whole self this session. He was like, it's cool, don't worry about it. And then we had an awesome time, like, working out weird magical walls and shadows and stuff, and killing folks.
It was a cool one. I'll say too, like I run a lot of games on stream, and I stream a fair amount, not as much as, I'm not as crazy as some folks, but I stream a fair amount. But I love running private games, so I run 2 on my Patreon right now. That might be something I open up more of in the future, because they are so much fun. I do our Dark Sun game, and I also have this it's set in this world called Penumbra. It's basically like a Bloodborne style, kind of world, like grimdark fantasy, which is another one of my favorites. Nice. So yeah, thanks. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Like, 5-10 years ago, I would never thought I'd be paying for my D&D experiences, but it's well worth it, because it's like going out on a Saturday. Like, you go out and you spend a load of money on like booze or whatever, but instead I could just drink at home and then play an awesome game of D&D. Like, it's great. So yeah, thanks, friend. That's awesome. So, let's get into it. Well, I should say, actually, because James will shout at me if I don't. Tomorrow, I've lined up for myself this week like 3 solid games that are going to be broadcast in some form or another in like 4 days. So, like after this, tomorrow, thankfully, is a public holiday for us in the UK for VE Day. So I have that whole day to prep for a stream on Encounter Roleplay, where we're going to be playing the spy game. We're going to be playing Oz Mills's adventure, or part of it at least, called Foolish Endeavor. So we're going to have that's like the first people would have seen it as well. So we're going to have a preview of that. I'm going to run like a section of it that's nice and kind of almost kind of self-contained, like the second act. And we're going to preview some new shit on there, like the celebrity subclass for Face. So I get to see how that works. And it's going to be an awesome time. I'm genuinely looking forward to it. And then on Sunday on Red Moon Roleplaying, we're going to be recording a strange Star Trek Adventures episode. So over in Sweden they had a lot of Voyager, so they were like something with Voyager and the Borg because it's cool. And the Delta book came out recently, and I was like, yeah, I could work with that. Like, so I'm gonna be doing the weekend doing a bit of prep for that as well. Not playing Q. I haven't played Q yet. I don't know. He's not my fave. I'll be honest. No, don't give me that face. Don't give me that face. Yeah, I mean, I could actually be Q. Thanks, James. All right. Well, without further ado, let us dive into tonight's session 11 of Season 3, the execution of a traitor. Rob, we are going to start with you. In the early hours of the morning, still dark, and probably more like kind of midnight kind of time, I'd imagine. Looking out across the bay and across south still towards House Ironwood, you can just see the kind of torchlight a little bit of the marketplace, the bazaar there, and a few torches from the keep, just barely visible. It's a little bit more of an overcast night now than the previous couple of well-moonlit nights. But you have a chance now. Salastria has sloped away in order to perhaps hunt or prowl for a little bit. And Myria is asleep, for all you know, inside the tower that you still occupy. I leave it up to you. What would you like to do?
So Rob is he's taken off his armor and half-heartedly cleaned it, and kind of set it out. So I imagine now he's wearing like his that cloak with a hood that's really oversized, so like he can keep the sun out of his face during the day in Dorne, and just sort of his commoner's clothes. Probably even takes off his sword and sword belt. But I guess he's been keeping watch. You said it's become a little cloudier outside. Can he still see lights from the ocean? Earlier in the evening, there were ships out there. Are there still ships out there?
There are a couple still, yeah. I mean, you can just make out the kind of rough, dark shapes where the waves aren't bouncing the light of the moon off them, or you can maybe make out the soft kind of light of a torch, perhaps attached to the kind of sconce of a mast or something.
I think he watches just for a little while. A few minutes after Salastria leaves, he goes back inside and sort of tries to quietly go through his things. He grabs a small clay pot, monochromatic, like gray clay pot, packs that away and a few other items. And then very quietly, not getting too close, he kneels down closer to Myria and just stretches out a hand, just enough to give her like a little shake and then pull back, so there's not like a looming presence over her when she wakes up.
Myria she still awakes with a jolt because she's on edge, even though she's managed to fall asleep, and she sort of, what's the matter? Is something wrong?
Oh, no, my lady, there's nothing wrong. Just before we start off tomorrow and before we travel, well, I was thinking about taking a walk down by the water, by the shore. I think it's safe, as safe as staying in this tower is, and I wanted to see if you'd walk with me.
Well, if you're sure it's safe, then yes.
You all right? Do you need anything?
No, I'm all right, I think.
I packed some water and some wine, so I'll just stand outside and when you're ready, take a little walk.
All right.
And he gives a small smile, a tired smile, and stands up and returns outside the tower just to keep a watch, make sure that during this time nobody's approaching.
No, you don't see any torches or hear any signs of people scuffing around or marching across the road or up towards the tower.
I think while I stood outside and Myria is getting ready, you'll hear like a weak little cough that sounds like there's something on her chest, because Myria's still got a wound from nearly drowning. So she sounds a little rough as she's getting, up and getting going. But before too long, she pops out and she's got like a blanket around her, like a shawl. I'm good to go.
All right, well, just follow me. And you'll head off. Sam, what's the terrain between the shore and the tower? Like, what's it kind of look like?
You will descend down, I imagine, into a valley. And then it's quite clear from there. There's a little bit of kind of uneven ground and rocky kind of outcroppings and stuff, but you can easily weave around them to get to the shoreline, and it's not that far. It's going to be like 10 minutes walk, 15 minutes walk, I think, if that. That's how I thought of it anyway.
Okay. Yeah, and he would try to take the easiest path, the one that's not gonna, be too taxing on Myria, but sort of talk as he walks to the shore. Probably give it a minute or two and keep a watch after her. I think he's curious as to what her disposition is.
As she's walking, she seems attentive to just like the small talk that you're making. But she's her head is constantly looking around. Like she doesn't feel very safe, but she's constantly on alert, and she's quite like closed off. Her body language is quite closed off as she's sort of clutching the shawl around her. But she seems to be trusting towards Rob anyway.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. It's been a rough couple of days. So I think the small talk kind of moves at some point, maybe closer to the shore. Rob would say, I know that you've decided that we're returning to House Greenmont tomorrow. Have you thought about what you're going to do after that?
I hadn't, honestly. All my life I've been taken from one place to another. I've never really made a decision like that myself. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Nods his head, continues walking, kind of looks up to the clouds, trying to find a part where maybe a little bit of moonlight spills through, and says, I think you've had to make a lot of decisions for yourself. Not good ones, maybe. I want to tell you the truth about Daemon.
What about Daemon?
I found where they're keeping her. In the cells underneath Castle Ironwood. I thought about 100 different ways we could try to get her out. I'm usually pretty good at talking my way out of things. But I couldn't. They're planning on executing her tomorrow, I believe. There's a chance we could meet with Maester. We said we would in the morning, but I'm not so sure it's wise.
No. I mean, the Maester will know who I am, and you can see like she's clearly struggling with what you've just told her, and tears are at the corner of her eyes. There was really nothing you could do.
Not without dying, my lady. If there was, I promise you I would have done something.
I
You've
wouldn't
lost
ask.
enough.
Do you think that somehow we could get there so I could at least see it? So that she wouldn't die alone?
Maybe they've reached the beach at this point and or gotten close to the beach, and he's just found a like kind of a rocky outcropping to sit down on and stretch out on a bit. Still conversing, but kind of trading his glance between you and the shore, the crashing waves. I mean, we could sneak you in, maybe, but it'd be... Well, I won't make that decision for you. You get to make your own decisions now.
I have to be there, Rob. This is my fault. She's dying because of me, and I have to be there to see it.
She's not dying because of you. No one has ever died because of you.
That's not true.
It is, my lady. I promise you.
Doesn't make me feel any less responsible for it.
I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something true. But I need you to promise me something in return. Do you think you can do that?
Depends on what you ask.
Just for you to listen.
Right. I can do that.
I need you to promise me one more thing, too. Don't run away. And please, my lady, don't scream.
And she's like fully backing up, like not backing up, but she's very closed off again. She'd opened up a little bit, but now she's like, what do you mean, Rob? Don't scream, don't run away. What are you going to do?
I'm not gonna hurt you. He sits back a little bit on the rock, leaning away from her. And he turns his head towards the moon so that with his hood over his face for a second, that cowl is covering his face. And he'll bring his hand up to the inside of the hood. And when he turns back around, it's not just his face that's different. He's smaller somehow too. Shoulders closer together, body slimmer. Face is a very pale skinned, maybe teenage boy. Much, much younger, but it's not Rob's face.
And that's when there's a break in the clouds and there's a bright moon now in the sky shining down on the rocky outcropping.
It takes a second for Myria to realize what she's seeing and to figure out this is not a trick of the light. And as she sees it, she almost goes to scream, but she puts a hand over her mouth to sort of like suppress it. And she is fully like scampering backwards up against like a rock at this point. Who are you? What is this?
Don't run, my lady. A man has gone by many names in his time. Come closer. I want to show you something true.
She is fully crying again at this point as she's trying to process what she's seeing. But seeing that he's not in a very aggressive sort of body language, he's kind of relaxed body language, she's gonna take a deep breath and slowly edge forward.
He doesn't lean in entirely, but just an inch, and there's a gentle kind of smile on his face. It's magic of a sorts. Here. And you'll turn again and turn back. And this time, as he turns towards you, it's the face of like a dark-skinned, very old man. I mean, very craggy, very wrinkly, kind eyes, but much, much older, and his shoulders slump forward. His body changes in the moonlight.
I think she reaches up her hand almost to like touch the face to see if it's real.
I mean, it's yeah, it would feel real. It would feel entirely real. You could probably feel the warmth of blood pumping through veins beneath the skin, even on the breeze.
What is this? What happened to Rob? Where is he?
Rob has received the gift of the many-faced god, my lady. He is gone.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
When a man was young, when I was young, I was so small, and my masters were so tall in their towers. I lived there, and he points out to the sea, far, far to the east. I came into the service of the House of Black and White. Have you ever heard of it?
And she just shakes her head.
Have you ever heard of the many-faced god?
No.
He goes by many names and many languages. You, I believe, would call him the Stranger. But in the House of Black and White, he is known by 100 names, 1,000 names. The one true God in the world. It is he that I serve. Rob, his name was given to the many-faced god, and like all men and all women, he died.
I see. Oh, why are you here?
I would be lying if I said that I did not feel for you and your family's plight. When I was younger than you, I was so small, but I dreamed of such big things in my life. What I wanted to be, what I wanted to make the world around me. I gave up my name, my identity, for corrupt priests. They sent me out as a killer for those who could afford me. And somewhere over the ages, The House of Black and White has lost the true meaning of serving the many-faced God. I'm here, lady, because I have finished my last contract, save one, and I am ready to reclaim my name. This is my face, my true face, and you are the first I have shown it in a long, long, long time.
Then who is your last contract?
Rob. If it makes you feel better, and I doubt it will, I gave him the gift and saved him from a worse fate. What he was suffering was far, far worse.
So then what do you mean to do?
I don't know quite yet. Something true. But I wish to help you. I wish to help you be able to achieve the things in this life that I was unable to when I was young. All you need do is give me a name and pay a price, and I will give the gift of the many-faced God to the one you name.
I couldn't give you a name.
He looks back over the water, away from you. I have the memories of those who I've given the gift to. They're a part of me, and they always will be. The masters and the slaves. There are only two kinds of people in this world, and there always have been only two kinds of people in this world. The masters took your mother, your father, both of them, your friends, your family, your freedom, your heritage, your birthright.
What price? What is the price?
It's different for everyone. And he looks back towards you and kind of wrings his wrinkled hands. It's whatever is most precious to you.
You're out of luck, I suppose. That most precious to me, those most precious to me are already gone.
You still have much more to give, lady. Now and for many years to come.
And she kind of takes a deep breath and rubs her face almost and looks around, processing. And she, like an odd calm washes over her. She's just Everything's sinking in. She's gone into like crisis management mode. And what if I give you a name? How long would it take? Would you go out tomorrow, do it? Or in a year? Or
I cannot say how long it might take, but this is the last night you will see me, most likely. I would go now.
let's see. You're right about a few things. I want to change things. I want to make things better, to upset that balance, to overthrow those that would use their power to hurt others. But I can't do that now. Just a girl, I have nothing. I have no one with me, and I know to do such things, you need people with you. So if I gave you a name now and you killed them tomorrow, then that's all for nothing. Could you wait?
He considers it for a long time, squints his eyes, and like his skin gets even more wrinkly, so craggy that it's actually kind of hard to see his eyes, see his lips. And nods his head very slowly. And he says, "You will have to wait for me to come back to you. I cannot stay. If I do, more people you care about will be given the gift."
I see. I wish to name. And she's really, there's a lot of thought clear on her face, and she's kind of staring off as she does so. And she meets your eyes, and there is a cold, hard determination in them. I wish to name Prince Marin Martell.
There's a smile, kind of looks like a grimace with how tight his face is with age. On his face, the moment you say Prince Marin Martell, he nods his head and he says, "Of course. What is it you will pay for the gift to be given to a prince?"
Whatever it takes. Name your price and I will see it done.
A promise, then, that the next time I see you, whatever I ask will be mine.
I promise.
You're going to survive and grow. I believe in that. Valar Morghulis, Lady Myria. He slowly starts to stand up from the rock and pull the cowl over his face.
And Myria will stand. And I think she starts to move back to the tower. She just starts walking back. And she's very like 1,000-yard stare.
He watches from a distance, but he doesn't follow her, just making sure she makes it up the path uninterrupted. And then he, shoulders slumped forward, grabs like a branch or something that he finds on the ground and kind of uses a walking stick, and he begins to walk along the beach towards the town.
Briar, once you dash back from town up towards the tower, having just left the guards to their business, you find Myria just as she's walking back up the last few steps to the door of the tower. She's clearly coming from outside, and she has a shawl wrapped around her. And there's no other sign of Salastria right now, or of Rob.
Immediately bolt to her. Lady Myria, just shield at the ready, hand on sword just in case. What are you doing out so late?
I'm fine, Briar.
He'll kind of kneel down just to inspect, like no wounds, and I imagine he's sort of like
put a hand on her to look. She like bats your hand away, like don't fucking touch me. I said I'm fine, Briar.
My apologies. Where's the young one?
Rob is gone.
Gone?
He's gone.
You mean to say what? Dead?
I mean to say that he is gone, Briar.
You see him kind of heave a shuddering breath and never figured him one for desertion. Men surprise you all the time, I suppose. I tried waiting for her. She's not Daemon.
She's to be executed, isn't she?
Glad he told you before he left.
He told me a few things.
Care to share them?
No. Briar, what I'm about to say will make me very unpopular with you, and you'll tell me that you won't do it, and that I'm a fool for wanting to do so. But I want to be there. Tomorrow. When they hang Daemon.
I will say all those things, but I doubt you'll listen.
It's important, Briar. If we do one last thing here, let it be this. Let it be something that matters.
All right.
Thank you. Rob did say that you were due to meet the Maester.
To deliver a message, yes.
What message?
Hand the letter that I wrote. Oliver is dead. We must away. Killed at dinner by Alistair.
You know that Horatio Ironwood is a terrible man, right? You know he will celebrate this news.
Then may that celebration blind him to our away.
I can't be there if he gloats.
You won't. I promise you.
I think perhaps you should hand off the letter to someone else to deliver to the Maester. Before Prince Martell tried to kill me, his wife came to speak to me. And she told me that Horatio's mother had told Horatio everything about the ploy, about me being Greenmont, about not being Oliver's true daughter. Which means if a Greenmont man shows up at Ironwood and my cohort made an attempt on his life, then that's not going to be well received.
To say the least.
I fear that if you did speak with the Maester, then he would have you seized and captured, and I can't have another life on my conscience.
And I can't go back home in a coffin.
I've lost too many people already.
So you will not lose one more. I'll hand it to a boy or some messenger. I will say that it was unfortunate circumstance that called us away. He'll go to kind of put a hand on your shoulder reassuringly,
Mm-hmm.
and you will see her.
Good. Tell me, Briar, when you were in the village, did you hear anything about the Order, the Brotherhood, the Blood Royal?
I never stayed long enough to really notice. But they were hunting them. They were not well received, let's say.
So some of them made it out.
Possible.
That's good to know.
Crafty men have survived worse. Depends on how crafty they are.
And there's like a small smile that tugs at the corner of her lips as she thinks some of them made it. Yeah. But there's still just this overwhelming like sadness that's kind of around her at the minute as she sort of retreats a bit further into the tower.
My lady, once you see her, once the deed is done, we go.
Yes. We do.
Okay.
A very, very deep sigh escapes him. And I think this is the first time that Myria sees Briar like actually tired, if that makes any sense. Morning hours come. Told the Maester I'd be there first thing in the morning. Might as well send the messenger now. Obviously, you will be covered. And he'll look at his shield, which I assume has, again, that motif of Greenmont.
I think you made reference to it a few times
Yeah,
as well
yeah,
before. Like,
I did.
hello, it's Greenmont. So yeah.
Yeah. I have to
Hence my
scrape this
screaming
off.
into that.
And I have some scraping to do. He'll take out his sword at that, lean up against the wall of the tower, and then start scraping it off.
Yeah, scratching
Just
off
sort
the
of
paint.
going, yeah, like literally just getting the paint off.
Okay. Mara, we are going to swing by Highgarden. As I have absolutely forgotten her name, but the maid that you, your handmaiden that you were.
I want to say that it was something like Ivy.
Yeah. Her name's not necessarily important in this scene necessarily, but we know that she is there as she interrupts your afternoon reading or something as you are kind of quietly sitting aside from court today in your chambers, and she enters in a rush and says, "My lady, that Lord John Oakhart has arrived. He is coming here presently. He brings an entourage."
Oh, I see. And Mara kind of, I imagine, looks up quite quickly from this book that she's not really reading it. She's been sitting here turning the pages for the last hour, looking at the words, but she's not taking any of it in. It's just something to do to keep her busy. And she, without even bothering to mark the page, just shuts the book and puts it down. She stands up and flattens out the dress that she's wearing as it's creased from where she's been sitting, and kind of wrings her hands and paces the room.
Okay.
You say he's on the way here to my chambers?
Yes, my lady. Is there anything you'd like to prepare?
Some wine. Some wine and, I don't know, some food. I don't know how long his journey has been.
Yes, my lady. She like leaves in a hurry. There's a good few minutes, probably a good quarter hour until she returns with a platter of just, I imagined, kind of cheeses and kind of snack food, or finger food, and then she's obviously brought like a wine pitcher and a few goblets and stuff. And it's only a couple of minutes then after that before your father-in-law arrives. A tall man like his son, and he sweeps into the room, bringing with him another member of the household, Old Oak, that you will remember. His name might escape you just now, but he is the Castellan of the house, basically in charge of its defense. And he also brings with him a Septon, an older man in Septon's robes, with a seven-pointed star blazoned across his chest in a embroidered cloth tabard that hangs down his larger frame. And your father there, with fair, thinning hair and his light blonde beard shot through with silver, looks at you with care and sadness upon his face, with his blue-grey eyes. And he bows a short bow and says, "My lady."
My lord.
"Mara, how are you?" And he goes to hug you.
She kind of accepts it. I imagine this is probably like the warmest he has ever been towards her. Like, I think from Mara's point of view is that she's never really felt too much love from them in that sense, especially after the events of the wedding day. But she accepts it because it's probably the first person that she actually knows well that wasn't perhaps one of her servants that's offered her any kind of comfort in the last 24 hours. And she accepts it, and she's shaking. She's clearly been up all night crying. Her eyes are red. She hasn't even tried to hide it.
Yeah, and it's it's quite a bear hug. It's tight and caring and well meant. And then he leans back, but still has both his arms around your shoulders, and then just motions with his head towards the two men that are stood in the room as well. He says, "You remember Sir Gilbert Castellan and
Of course, my lord. Apologies, your name escaped me."
Septon
And she kind of
Lyrian."
nods towards him.
Yeah, and he introduces Septon Lyrian as well. You can see just kind of shuffling in the doorway outside in the corridor a couple of the Knights of the Three Leaves as well. And you can imagine that some of the household guard have followed him here as well. I've not yet heard many of the reports about what's really happened. I was hoping that you could help me understand and maybe tell me how Alistair is if you have seen him recently.
I saw him briefly before the trial yesterday. I'm afraid you've arrived too late for it.
I thought so. He looks at Sir Gilbert and says, "I will demand to see Sir Gawain at once and see if we cannot speak on this matter, perhaps resolve something."
You need not fear, my lord. Alistair's life is not on the line, so to speak. His Grace showed all the clemency that he could.
My God, if he's sent him to the fucking wall, I will have
No. He does not walk free. He is to be imprisoned in the Red Keep for a period of 10 years, or until your death, when he shall be released to take his place as head of this house. But he lives.
Black cells, my gods.
There was also reparations to be paid to House Greenmont.
Yeah, his gaze fixes upon you again, those kind of wider eyes stare into yours as you say that.
I tried everything that I could. The trial was as fair as anyone could hope for. His Grace saw to that. I spoke to him personally. You know how trials can be at court, my lord. I do not know if Alistair wrote to tell you, but I am with child.
Yes.
Now I
I've
do
heard
not
the
know what to
news.
do. I'm hoping that I will be able to see him before he's escorted. His Grace has been very kind in making sure that so far he hasn't been kept from me in light of current circumstances. And she kind of protectively almost puts her hands across her stomach.
Yeah, he says, "Well, first and foremost, you need to make sure that you look after yourself and your child." And if that's all right, V, he does that awkward, like, intrusive thing where someone else
You
puts
just touch it,
puts a hand on your stomach.
May we speak in private for a moment? And she kind of looks over to Sir Gilbert and the Septon.
Sir Gilbert, you have my request. Lyrian, please. And the Septon makes the sign of the seven-pointed star over you as a blessing before leaving, and then heads off out into the corridor. And it's Lord John that heads over to the chamber door and then slowly closes it, just with a quiet click, and then slowly turns around and heads over to the nibbles and the wine.
Yeah, Mara's already over there pouring 2 goblets of wine. And she doesn't really drink hers. I imagine that she's in that mood where she just wants something to hold. It's just the
just
thing. And
something to nurse.
she sits herself on the edge of the bed and almost like lets herself relax. She's no longer got that nice ladylike posture. She's just kind of relaxed into the bedding as she sits there holding this goblet between her hands. And I imagine actually that perhaps this is one of the ones that Costain had given for their wedding.
These are the 2 goblets. Yeah, heck, why not?
And she's kind of running her fingers along the detailing, and she waits for Lord John to grab his nibbles and pick up his wine that she's poured.
He picks up 2 or 3 slices of cheese in one hand, kind of juggling them amongst his fingers, and throws a few grapes in and stuff as well. Like, he's obviously hungry.
I think she smiles for a moment because it reminds her of the way that Alistair would do this when food was brought. She
Nice.
has that, like, it's that flash of memory, and then it's
Yeah.
suddenly sad. And she's like, I don't know what kind of man he will be when he leaves. I want him out sooner rather than later. Don't get me wrong, my lord, I do not wish you any ill will. What kind of a man leaves 10 years in a place like that and comes out the same as he was before?
An Oakheart man. Our roots go deep.
That they do.
We have an ancient lineage behind us. Side on a giantess. You'll be resolute. You'll be reflective. Come out a stronger man because of it.
Hopefully a wiser one too.
He takes a deep glug of wine after saying that.
I hate to ask this of you, my lord, and I did not wish to ask in front of anybody else, but if something were to happen to Alistair down in those cells, I've heard stories as a child. Maybe they were just to frighten me, but what becomes of me? What becomes of this child if it's a girl?
Not sure I understand what you're asking. I imagine
asking.
once this is all dealt with, we will go back to Old Oak. You are still a member of this family.
My lord, I know it is a strange question to ask for you, but I'm sure that it is not a strange question for any woman to ask. So much of our power, so much of our status is related to the families and the men that we are with. You must understand my fear. The other fear I have is what happens with this house's relationship with House Greenmont. I tried to impart this to Alistair many times, but I'm not sure he understood. There are too many rivalries, ancient and old and born of events such as the ones that took place at Fox Hollow. I do not wish for any child of mine or anybody's to grow up within this house thinking that there is some rivalry, some blood debt that would bear ill will later on. You understand, I have 2 infant brothers who will be not much older than my child will be. I would rather that they see each other as family, as allies, not as enemies.
That is infinitely more helpful. Yes. Have you heard from Lady Arzia since he...
I have not. I wrote to her before the trial to tell her that I was with child, to explain some of what Alistair explained to me. I'm sure that she thought I had some hand in this. I did in fact not know what his plans were until he had already, well, until about 3 days after they had happened actually on the road. It all happened so quickly. I don't think he ever intended to kill Sir Oliver. I don't believe that my husband, that your son is a murderer. Not in that sense, but what he did was wrong. The way that he did what he did was wrong, and he didn't come to me to tell me of it beforehand so that I might help him make it right. She hasn't written back. But I know how long letters can take to arrive from Fox Hollow.
What happened there? You are the first voice I have heard to have actually been there when this happened. And I do not trust the singers and the rumours that travel down these roads.
That is wise of you, my lord. No, this started... I'm sure that you heard about the skirmish at Vulture's Roost. I insisted on going with Alistair when he would not listen to me to stay out of it. And for some reason, he agreed and let me go with him. I watched the battle from a distance, and I received word that Maekar had sanctioned it treasonous. I went down to the battlefield myself after all had passed to convince Alistair to leave. We got back to Fox Hollow. We had the Oakhart host and the Tarly host. We went out hunting and everything was fine. That evening at dinner, Myria announced that she was to marry Sir Oliver publicly. I had known for some time. Alistair got out and walked off. Myria followed. I don't know what they spoke about, but when I came to join them, Alistair was furious, telling me that I had to choose between whether or not I was an Oakhart or a Greenmont, and of course I was with him. I'm his wife. And we walked outside. I thought he just wanted air. And then he apologized, and there were Oakhart and Tarly men storming through the halls of Fox Hollow. I didn't see what happened inside, but I heard afterwards from Alistair's own lips. He'd gone to arrest Sir Oliver. Apparently, Lord Costain had been confided in by Oliver, that Oliver had murdered Sir Gorman Peake. Alistair thought he was doing the right thing by trying to arrest him, but obviously he broke hospitality rights. He didn't tell Myria, he didn't tell me what he had planned. And when he went to confront him, fighting struck out. Naturally, Oliver was an incredible fighter. I'd seen him joust, I'd seen him protect my father for many years, but he was injured from the skirmish, and Alistair ended up running him through with my father's sword. He didn't tell me any of this. Immediately, he just rushed out, dragging me with him. A few days later on the road, I finally got it out of him. He was sorry, but sorry for the pain that he caused, not for what he had done. In his mind, it was still justice, even though he hadn't intended to kill him. I don't know what else to tell you, my lord.
You can see in his eyes softening and the blurring of tears in the corners. And he looks down into his wine goblet for a moment and then sighs, and there is that staggered breath of an upset sigh, and he intake of breath, and he walks towards the balcony and looks out into the yard, and you can just hear him whisper under his breath, "Warrior, give him strength."
I did everything I could to keep him from the wall and to keep him from death. I tried my hardest without making a mockery of that trial by twisting it or darkening it with lies. There was nothing more I could do. I tried to put a fair judge on that jury. I even went to see the prince himself. Begged him to be fair. And now he is going off to the Red Keep, and I will be going back to Old Oak with you, but without my husband. And I don't know what to do. I do not know if the Lady Myria will ever speak to me again. I may have just not only lost my husband, but I may have also lost my stepmother and a friend. 3 siblings. 4, maybe. My brother Simon has gone missing. She just looks at him with this look of complete hopelessness.
He walks over to the door of the chamber again and opens it briefly. And you don't see necessarily the guard that he's speaking to, but you do hear him ask the guard, "Go fetch me Lord Costain." And then closes the door.
And as he comes back in, Mara kind of gives him a questioning look. Are you acquainted with the Lord Costain, my lord?
Lord Mathos and I have known each other for years.
He comforted me through much of this, tried to help me where he could, spoke true about what he had told Alistair in the trial.
And he was there too, and the one to speak to Alistair.
He was the one that Oliver had confided in, that he had murdered Sir Gorman Peake.
And such.
And so on and so forth. I believe he told Alistair at the hunt of what he had known. I don't know if he knew that Alistair would act. Forgive me for asking, but your relationship with Lord Costain, is it a friendly one?
More businesslike than anything.
I see.
Fee, you can give me an awareness check there if you want.
Okay. I don't suppose empathy or anything will help, trying to figure out
Empathy
if he's...
is perfect.
Yeah. Okay. No bonus dice. 15?
Yeah. So, because there is a pause before he says more businesslike than anything, he's avoided your gaze a little bit. These are tells that there is something else he's not saying.
She takes a moment and she keeps her stare on him as he tries to avoid her. So he does that thing where he looks back up, you know, after people have told a lie and they look back and you're still looking at them. And she's like, my lord, forgive me, but we are going to have to be more honest with each other from now on. I understand how court works. My mother was not a stupid woman. She taught me well. I've heard rumors that there may be something happening here at court, something happening within the Reach, and I intend not to get myself caught up in it. So please tell me, what is your relationship with the Lord Costain? Is he a man I should worry about? And she's trying to basically convince him, you need to tell me. We're both here. We're both stuck without Alistair. Like...
Okay, well, roll me a persuasion convince check.
Okay.
I mean, just for the sake of it, because at this point you're probably going to win.
Yeah.
But anyway, because it's passive will.
So it's one dice and one bonus dice I add to this. Plus. So that's 22.
Cool. All right. He sits down in one of the guest seats in a kind of power move, in the way that you know, if you were both standing at the time, he will sit down and kind of take the space a little bit. But he asks you, remind me, my lady, just so I am sure. Which was your family? Red or black?
My father fought against the Targaryens in the rebellion.
And you will know that my two eldest sons died fighting for that king. Fighting the Daemon Blackfyre.
That I do.
And you will know that our house did not take the same stance. Our dragons may have borne Daeron's face, but they went to his bastard half-brother. Perhaps Jane certainly gave you less credit than you are worth. And if you are playing the game here, I would ask you what game you are playing.
In truth, I'm not sure. I just know that I am in it. I've heard all sorts of rumors here at court. I know somebody who suspects that there is something going on, and I have recently heard talk of another rebellion rising, and I don't know what that means. And if it's true, I saw what the last one did to families. I lost brothers. My father died on the way to my wedding, as you know, from an old injury from those days. I do not wish to see this country split again in my lifetime like that. As I said, I don't know what game I am playing, but there is one happening. I'm trying to figure out what it is. And I know that the Lord Costain is part of it somewhere. So far, I have no reason not to trust him.
And I'm sure we will find out what game it is when he joins us presently.
I would hope so. As long as you know, my lord, that the only thing that ever truly matters to me is my family. That includes your son, you, House Oakhart. I wear these colours as much as I still hold love for House Greenmont in my heart. And I am loyal to both. Loyal to your husband, loyal to my husband, and loyal to your house. As long as you never doubt those things of me, I'm sure there will be no problems.
I have seen the way that you look at my son. And I know that it's true.
There has never been somebody that I have loved so much as your son, or has shown me so much love. I see how many men treat their wives in this land, and he treats me better than many.
I thought that about Jane before, but he looks down at your stomach and says, give it 9 months and there'll be something that you love more.
At this, she actually kind of smiles. She reaches out and kind of takes his hand and clasps it in with a kind of joyful look and brings it back to her stomach. And then, realizing that she probably hasn't eaten it in a while, forces herself to get up and grab some food off of that platter while they wait for Lord Costain to arrive.
Absolutely. Okay. Myria. Morning sun arrives, and with it the warmth of the Dornish summer. How are you guys preparing to head down to Castle Ironwood, and what's the plan?
Well, I think
We're off the reservation
Myria
from here,
is-
folks.
Myria is trying to look as urchin-y as possible right now, because she's obviously, she's always looked quite well put together, besides when she turned up covered in blood. But she's trying to, disguise it, maybe, so she's maybe got Briar to cut that shawl into like a headscarf sort of, so she can at least disguise her hair and face. And just trying to, I don't know, just rough up her clothing or like disguise it so she doesn't look like Myria Casella.
Do you have anything? Genuine question. Do you think you have anything to hand in this tower, or could invent something that would help you? I think trying to scuff up or scruff up your clothes is maybe different from actually changing into something, at least something else. You've got maybe the shawl around you, and I don't think that would be too out of place either from people who are trying to shield from the sun.
From the sun,
Yeah.
I mean, she's got the clothes that she went in the sea in, but that would be what everybody last saw her in, so it would be pretty obvious if she rocked up in that.
There would need to be some like trinkets or something that maybe an urchin would have. little character note. Briar keeps with him the skeleton of a rabbit's foot. Is that something you could like put around your neck as like some good luck charm? I don't know.
Something to
Sure.
distract than
Something to
draw
distract
attention
from the
to,
face.
right?
Like, yeah, like he'll actually like pull out the rabbit's foot and just sort of like debate whether or not to give it to Myria.
Yeah.
I think she kind of has like a ew look on her face as she takes it, but you know, she's had guts on her at this point. I mean, fuck it. What's a rabbit's foot?
Be careful with that. My daughter gave it to me.
Well, thank you for trusting me with it. And I think she's wearing the dress that Marzia sent, which no one has seen.
Ah, yeah.
Very
So-
nice.
Or wait a minute, but that's
That's
been kept
noble
clean,
though.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's been wearing it since she went in the sea, so it's going to be a little bit dusty. She's been wearing it for a few nights.
I think just
Yeah,
as a precaution, Briar would still like roll it around on the floor of the tower just in case. Like,
I think
Yes.
I think it's for the juice. It's got to be like ripping it up and stuff.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Just shrug.
if someone has a destiny point to spend, then you can add a +1 dice / add a detail to the scene that would help you. So you could add oh look, some guard clothes on the side of the bed. Yeah. But yeah, like if you've got a destiny point spend, those are a couple of kind of options that would help, I think.
I got nothing.
I have 2, so I'll spend 1.
Yeah.
And we'll say, what if there's like some like belts and stuff here, so you can change the shape of the dress.
Nice.
Yeah, different
you can
gambeson
keep
for
that
Briar or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna bring in a little used rule where if you're taking real time and the kind of time to do something is the cost of doing it. I think you guys have the time as well. You can add a +1 dice to tests you make. So if you roll for me, this is Deception Disguise.
Okay.
And Briar can add a Briar, what's your deception?
Let me pull up my character sheet.
It's all
Oh,
right.
that's
We'll add some bonus dice in assisting.
that's a 2.
So we'll add a +1 bonus dice as well.
Okay, so
Can
was that
I-
+1 die like a straight up +1 die, like a 1D or a B?
1D.
Oh,
Can I also add my bonus die to this roll?
You're framed. You're in your frame.
Yeah, in my frame.
Yeah. No
Just to like
worries.
guarantee.
Only if you thank Purple, who I think is the person who gave you this bonus.
Purple?
dice.
Purple? Thank you. I really do appreciate this so
okay.
much.
So, all being told, then
Susie,
I'm rolling.
you have 2 test dice and a bonus dice in your frame.
I do. All right, let's chuck a test die in there as well. Okay,
Nice.
so my base is going up to 5 that I'm keeping, plus the 1 bonus die from Briar just from his passive, and then from his assistance, and then the 1 that Jason donated.
Nice, because this is going to be the
7.
difficulty, establishing the difficulty the guards are going to face in order to spot you.
Drop 2, submit, modify.
Don made these guys quite good, so
19.
you know.
Hey.
Okay.
Hang on. Can I add? This is technically a deception test, right?
Yes.
This is?
This is a deception test.
Well, I have the treacherous benefit, which means I get to add my cunning rank to
Add your cunning rank.
So that is another 4. That's 23.
Very nice.
Okay.
So-
Charlie's big mad that we used that dice to wreck the dress.
Yes.
What? Oh, no. That blame Briar for that one. I imagine he was also like sort of reluctant because it's like a really nice dress. And he also knows the repercussions of like,
I like the idea, right? That Myria is getting fancy with some belts to change the draping and stuff. And then Briar just rips a sleeve off. She's like, no!
and he immediately like uses it as a bandana or some shit.
So, Briar, you're going to get a messenger to send this. aren't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Hoping
Yeah,
there's someone on the road to pay some coins to get it on its
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Okay. Are you then going to the actual yard in disguise as well?
I
Or...
did change out my gambeson, and I did like sort of probably muddy my hair, but like.
Okay.
mm,
Why don't you roll me a quick straight deception disguise test?
But you're very large. Obviously, reach a man in the middle of dawn.
Well, you guys have got some dice
Oof.
to donate if you want.
I
Swap them
I
around.
should have kept that bonus die because I got nothing.
Hey, Jason, have my bonus die. There you go.
Oh, I'll take that away.
Thank you, because I rolled a 3.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So it's one bonus die, right? I'm re-rolling, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a whole 7.
Okay.
Christ. Okay. I've got a shield. I'm fine. I'm okay. If I just keep my mouth shut. Oh, wait.
Okay. So you head into towards the keep, and as you head down the road, the journey is quite sparse with traffic. There is a cart or two that's going past. How do you want to approach trying to get somebody to take this message for you?
I assume that the maesters got some like assistance or attendants or like somebody away from the guards. I want to flag down one of these attendants and say I have a message for the maester and just give it to him.
He absolutely used to have an assistant. You are going to the keep with her.
Urgent matters. Unfortunately, call me away. Like some slight protestations, which I'm assuming get bowled over. Which
I mean, it's
yeah.
Myria. I'm talking about Myria.
Fuck!
I was the Maester's helper.
That's
Ironwood.
Yeah, that's all in character.
By the way, never hire me.
No.
Yeah, that's all in character. Briar like thinks like, oh yeah, no, there's got to be an assistant. I used to be that one. No, I'm sure I could. Wait, what?
Yeah, as he's kind of talking to himself a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, fuck it. Just find the guards from last night that liked me and hand them the message.
Okay, so you take the morning to head round into the little port town. I need you to roll a streetwise check for me.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. All right. Okay. That's a 9.
Okay. So you spend the morning looking for these guys first, just kind of quietly check at the inn that you were you headed to yesterday night. The scene itself is pretty bad, and from what you heard and what you kind of saw from last night, people are writing carts and trying to put market stalls back together and stuff. This place was turned over, and you just quietly look and check at the guards that are hereabouts, and maybe even just ask a couple of whispers from people. Oh, who did that to you? Oh, it was that guy that looked like that. Yeah, no, I know. Okay, have you seen him this morning? And it becomes apparent that these guys have gone. When the mornings come round, these guys aren't on duty anymore. So they're not probably not within the town. At least you can't find them with the time that you have this morning.
Yeah, no, that's how guards work, right? They work in shifts.
Right.
They have structure and integrity. So
They have structure.
Integrity.
they have structure. Okay, yeah. God, I'm gonna have to knock on the front door, aren't I? just softly mutter that to myself.
Well, perhaps you do meet with the Maester, Briar, but just be safe about it. Don't follow him into the keep. Don't step into a room full of guards.
He's
Look.
going to drop to his knees real quick. Twice I let that bastard out of my sight, and twice I lost him. I'm not going to lose you.
Briar, you're going to have to. Listen, I'm quite well disguised, but you stick out like a sore thumb. I can't be around you. They will see me. They'll know who I am. What if we meet we choose a point to meet at after everything is done, and then we travel back, and I swear to you I will be there. I'm not going to do anything stupid. Well, more stupid than this.
I'd hope not. Else I'd have to carve through half the castle to find you. He'll stand full height. The gate by the tower. In an hour. When the execution is done.
I'll see you there. And then Myria sort of straightens up, and she walks very differently because she usually carries herself quite ladylike, but she's kind of like rounded her shoulders a bit as she's walking, as if, you know, she's had a long day already. And as she's walking, she just like casually grabs a basket that's just like, you know, from the chaos. She's just like, as if this is just her thing.
And in the background, you see Briar's heart kind of sink, where it's like, I'm letting a child do this. I'm letting a child sneak into an execution, betraying the orders of the lady who punched me.
And before
This
you
will
know
be
it,
fine.
that distraction playing in your mind, you hear the voice of Maester Dorian as you walk through the gate, and Myria, now nowhere in sight, is calling over to you. So, did you guys give your names before? I can't remember.
Rob gave his name. I did not give mine, I don't think.
I'll take that for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's like, good sir, and he's waving at you. The kind of leathery skinned bald old man.
Just sort of meet him halfway. My apologies, good maester. Given the attitudes of the town, we quickly learned that the matter had been settled concerning, well, does it really need to be said?
The 4 guards behind him kind of eye you up and down as you're speaking. A little bit confused. But Maester Dorian says, but sir, and he just pauses for a second and looks over, looks at your shield, looks at how you're dressed a little bit, and is kind of a little confused, but says, my lord will see you this morning.
I am sorry. I am not the one to speak to. Surely it is Rob. I shall fetch him. But please, and he holds out the letter. Give this to the Lord on our behalf.
You roll for me some kind of persuasion or deception test. Obviously, this against his passive will.
Good Lord. That's not, is it? A 10? That's not.
He says, but sir, you were so insistent yesterday, and he's expecting you presently. Please.
Size him up real quick.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Make me an empathy test.
No. Something's wrong. So, empathy, bang, bang, 19?
Okay. So he is pressing the point that he's trying to get you into the keep. And there are 4 well-armed guards behind him.
Of course. Of course. And I apologize for my current attire. Had to change last night, given some circumstances.
Oh, sure, it can be understood. And what do you do?
Follow him to Horatio. What else is there to do?
Cool. All right. You head through corridors and upstairs into kind of some of the nicer parts of the keep than you'd frequented when you were in the battle here. Some beautiful ornamental pieces, doors in beautiful red ironwood, and eventually reach an upper room that's more of a kind of a nicely well decorated antechamber with a balcony quite central to the courtyard, able to look out into the yard and into the hastily erected block and execution spot that's been put up. As you walk in, there are various courtiers here being fanned. There are some household guard, and Horatio is sat on a chaise longue, drinking from a goblet. You're not sure what it is exactly, but he is sat. As you guys enter, the guards take their places around the wall, and Maester Dorian turns to you and says, this isn't Sir Rob, is it? So what is your name?
Very long pause. Briar. No last name. I am not of station, it must be said.
Maester Dorian turns with some kind of practiced formality and just says, Briar, your lordship, House Greenmont. And he stands to the side. And I would like you, please, to roll for me a status breeding test.
That's a 9.
I only have a 10.
Get dunked on, you shit. All right, sorry.
Okay. He stands up and he kind of swirls his drink about in his hand a bit, and then he looks at you and he says, Briar, what business do you have here exactly? Down here in Dawn, from a richer house so far across the mountains.
Well, I am so sorry that the Maester failed to inform you. Our business concerns Day Restore, and her witness to events most pertinent to my lady's cause.
Really?
Would that I had more for you. Well, I do.
You better have more for me. And you can feel the guards around you closing in.
I have, of course, news, most upsetting, that I would not wish to deliver under such circumstances. And yet I must. He'll pull out the letter and just present it to the maester or to him.
Good. Perhaps here you can tell me what involvement you had on the attempt on my life. And the guards grab you by the shoulders, all four of them, and hold you in position. A couple of them having drawn weapons and have them readied on you. So he's just going to take his first action. What did I give him for this? Oh, no, that's the wrong one. There we go. So this an intimidate 16 against your intrigue defense.
Intrigue defense of 10.
Okay, 2 degrees of success.
Okay.
So intimidate comes off the will rank, which I believe. Okay, so 6 composure damage, but that's soaked by your DR. So whatever disposition you have towards him, it gets soaked.
Guess what?
by
It's not that good.
No, I guess not. I guess not.
Where's the cheat sheet? Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
That's all right.
I swear.
Unfriendly
I'm
is
prepared.
4, malicious is 5, DR. So that's the amount that it might soak.
Okay.
But it's your action. So it can, whatever kind of technique you were doing in that exchange we had, then let's roll for that.
Okay. He would basically be trying to deal direct damage to Horatio.
So an influence.
So
yeah.
it would be influence. But in light of this, he would basically say, I had no such designs, and I had nothing to do with her actions. I merely searched for her. That is all.
Okay. I will let you roll persuasion for that. Otherwise, the kind of blustering and the obfuscating was going to be a deception.
Yeah.
Test. But yeah, okay. Okay, roll for that. Roll that for me.
10.
Is 1 degree of success. Yeah.
Thank God. Will is 3, so that's 3 composure damage.
Cool. No problemo.
Or, oh, wait a minute. With my disposition being unfriendly, does that take away?
No.
Or...
So it's we've removed the modifiers, static modifiers now.
Right.
So it's
I
just
see.
it's just the soak, it's just the kind of composure armor type stuff. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know, Briar. There's just something about you that makes me not believe a word that you are saying. Perhaps it is the emblem that you have scraped off of your shield as you try to sneak in here to rescue her in front of everyone. A heroic, noble gesture, perhaps.
If you think me heroic and noble, you do not know me, my lord.
Oh no, I know a richer lord when I see one. You're a man devoted to them and their cause. How ridiculous you look. Stood here now.
Stood here with much to offer. Your brother is dead.
Oh.
Killed at dinner by a Reacher lord. Alistair Oakhart. In violation of the laws of hospitality. Wars have started for less. And I'm well acquainted with wars.
Alright. I'm going to roll his action first. And... Ooh, it's rolling quite well tonight. This is going to be a 13 against your intrigue defense.
Which is still 10.
So, yeah, 1 degree of success. And this is 3 composure damage.
Okay.
Might be.
Bang.
But yeah, pinged off. And I am going to give you a +1 test die for this revelation.
My. Thank you so much. I shall be rolling it post-haste. Bang, bang. 15.
15 is 2 degrees of success.
Which, I guess that would be...
Okay, I think it's kind of convince.
Convince, yeah.
Yeah?
Or insight.
Insight is more you trying to get him to hate someone else.
I mean, I am trying to get him to hate Alistair, but we'll go with convince.
We could go with insight if you want, man. They come off. Just think of the meta. They come off different. The damaging stat is different. I think insight is cunning and convince is will rank. So whatever works for you.
I think that Briar wouldn't care enough about Alistair to save his hide, so he's like, "No, it's Alistair you want."
Cool. All right.
My lady just wanted to know what the fuck Storm was doing. That's it.
All right.
So
cool.
that's 2 degrees of success. So
yeah.
6 damage.
Nice. What proof do you carry here with you today? This. And he opens up the letter, and it's this. It's your scroll of basic explanation. Does it contain anything else other than saying that his brother's dead? I can't remember now.
No, it just says that. Well, I can probably pull up the exact verbiage of it.
Oh, for sure. Post it in chat. So now, as we let's cut a little bit back and forth. So now, Myria, you're winding your way through a small crowd that has started to gather outside, and Briar, as this is going on, and as the hold on you for these guards is becoming stronger and more painful around you in your light armor, Myria, you hear the beat of several static drums, and a small procession of soldiers and steel walk out of the keep and into the yard itself from one of the ground floor courtyards. In this sun trap, this like dusty yard that's full of sand underfoot, a block of square stone has been moved atop this kind of makeshift wooden gallows, or like not palisade, but like wooden platform in rough, dry wood with burned edges. But you will recognize from here that the red wood is obviously kind of repurposed, remade from some of the beams of the ruined barracks that sit across from you at the yard now, burned to the ground. And in Horatio's hand sits this letter. To Lord Horatio Ironwood, your brother, Sir Oliver Ironwood, is dead. Killed at dinner by the Lord Alistair Urquhart in violation of the laws of hospitality. We bore witness, and now we, the men of Greenmont and Fox Hollow, bear this message to you. You said you came here with another. Who was that?
I did. His squire. And when I woke this morning, he was gone.
Blood cat. He asks the maester, Dorian, what you were up to last night, and Dorian says that you had treated him to be able to speak to Horatio, but that mainly you were after that you. And he tells the story that you told about how that you were trying to get Daemon back as a witness to what happened, and Horatio conflates the two, asking you, is she a witness to this Excellent news.
That I do not know,
So
but she could be.
why do you want her?
Because the Lady Marcia wants her. It is not my place to question.
Alrighty. Well, this is... did I take out manipulate? Apparently I did. Cool. I am going to consider, but this has kind of put you in the position of a deception test, really, because this is now... you've just kind of tried to carry on the...
Yeah, no, this is
story that
total
you've
bullshit
got,
that
right?
I'm
Yeah, right.
that I'm hawking.
Oh, that...
Well, 2d6 drop. No, yeah.
All right.
-1. Wait, why -1? Huh?
Do you have an injury?
Yeah.
I have an injury.
That's the injury.
Great. Fantastic.
Okay. Out in the courtyard, the breeze from the sea provides little respite from the sun, but the smell of choke and charcoal from the ruined barracks pervades the keep's grounds still. James has just given you, Jason, a test die. Oof, nice one.
I'll put it to good use.
Yeah. In the center of the procession of 4 guards, the figure of a woman is dragged along. Her feet are bare and tripping over the dusty floor. Her head covered with the hood of a spare guardsman's hood and short cloak that hangs about her shoulders. And she is led up some short steps onto this stranger's dais. Horatio drops the letter, finishes his drink, turns to look at the drumming outside and to regard what you can see out is Daira in a short cloak and hood that's pulled back. Stood with her on the dais is going to be an executioner. Sharpening a curved blade. Thin and dazzling in the light. After a moment's pause, Horatio turns to you and says, "Do you expect me to believe that you have come here? Lied to my maester? To see Daira, perhaps to break her out, to recover Lady Marcia's assassin, Oliver's assassin, on my life. This, perhaps some ruse. This is bullshit. All of it bullshit. And we have always taken bullshit from the Reach.
That you have. And for that, House Greenmont offers some recompense. He immediately pulls out the 10 dragons and offers it to him.
Oh.
Dropping to his knee and holding it above his head.
I'll give you a cheeky 2 bonus dice for that. And yours is going to be a persuasion bargain.
9 dragons, apparently.
All right, Tom.
All right, Tom. Thanks. I will also be sinking that test die into it as well.
Oh, for sure. Let me roll his action first, because he had a couple of bonus dice from his consider. He is. I'm actually just going to go on the convince. A 13, so 1 degree of success, and that is going to be 3 composure damage.
Alrighty, so that's 13. So persuasion, I guess.
Yeah, persuasion and
bargain.
like bargain,
And
but you'll
two-
have 2 bonus. I'm giving you 2 bonus dice for the money and the roleplay. All good.
16.
Very nice. Did you put that test die in it as well?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. All right. 2 degrees of success. Yeah. And
bargain is cunning, so that's 6.
very nice. Okay. I don't like these to go too long. We've not got 2 amazingly intriguing characters, so I'm going to give you this. I am going to give you this.
It is the Lord Alistair who is so offended. In the house of my lady. Let me return. Offer glad tidings of new friendship. And let this be put to good use.
And you can see a smile creep onto his face as he looks down at you, now stood directly over you, and he says, "And he killed him."
Ran him through. Saw it with my own eyes.
And he kind of spins about a bit and does a bit of a kind of weird maniacal smile. Grabs you a goblet of wine, kind of properly pushes it into your hand, brings you up, and there's still a couple of guards behind you, but he takes you, if that's all right, Jason, like round the scruff of the neck with his kind of elbow. And he's like... You know, in the way that, like, when you're, like, roughhousing, like, friends when you were younger, like, you're bringing them along with you, but it's not really, like, much by choice. And he brings you over to the balcony. And he, like, licks his lips and drinks, and, like, clinks your goblet. As Myria, Daera's hood is pulled down, and she looks about the yard pretty stoically.
Briar will pull Horatio to an angle to where his face is hidden from Daera.
And Daera is ordered to take her spot. Kneel down.
Is there any way that Myria can, like, sort of climb up a little bit to get above the crowd a little bit, you know, kind of like, you know, when Arya climbs up on the statue of Baelor so she can see Ned.
I imagined this to be a pretty open space in terms of a yard. But there could be a cart coming through that's stopped, and I'm quite happy with that. I don't mind.
Yeah, and she just clambers up.
Yeah, sure. There are guards obviously on the by this wooden platform, and there are a few kind of around the perimeter, but there are none kind of in your, like, immediate areas and indirect vision. You've made sure of that, and you stare at Daera. She is ordered to kneel once again, and she just stands there. And then the back of her knees are kicked in underneath her, and she takes a knee, and then she is pushed down onto the block, and the guard that's up there with the this executioner says something into her ear, and it seems to pacify her a little bit as he steps back, and the executioner, only his eyes visible as a sash is wrapped around both his lower half of his face and around his head and neck, takes this, what looks to be incredibly thin, sharp saber that glints and reflects in the sun, catches the light and streaks across your eyes once or twice, places it down very carefully on the back of her neck, pulls the blade up and deals a blow swiftly and just once. And Daemon is executed. And Briar, you hear this little gasp from the group down below, the little crowd. I know you've got high awareness too. I think you can spot a little urchin stood on a cart with her hood still up, avoiding the sun.
He's going to hide and pull away from Horatio and just drink the whole goblet.
And Horatio at first tries to pull you back in, and there's a bit of a struggle, and then he actually just kind of lets go and laughs and like kind of pats you on the back a few times, downs his glass again, and says, "Go and thank him for me. You'll see him again."
If I see him again, I will send your regards. And a few of my own. He has always loved Dornish red, but it tastes like ash on his tongue. And unless you got something for me, Jack, I'm hanging my head low and I'm making my way back to that gate.
Sure. What's the scene then as Myria waits by the gate after the crowd has dispersed? What does Briar come back to?
Myria her eyes are red. She's clearly been crying, but by the time he reaches her, she's got a very hard set jaw and a very hard stare. And she's clearly in a foul mood as she's kind of stood there. She's trying to stay inconspicuous though, she's still got the shawl up.
He will literally, like, not breaking stride, just walk straight past. We leave now.
And she does. She just turns on her heel and just walks away.
The road that the tower was by is the long way round, right?
So the road that the tower was by leads up to the Boneway. And that runs the east coast up to Summerhall, basically. Eventually, leads into the Stormlands. You came here from the kind of south of the Red Mountains, from the west, down the river.
Ooh,
so
one other thing to note, because I completely forgot we mentioned it, but Myria would have collected the halberd and the bag that they had with them from the tower.
Yeah.
Well, and what I was going to flavor was we were going to walk by the tower. He was going to realize, oh wait, this isn't the way home. Whistle for Salistria and just try to get back to the docks.
Yeah.
Or where he thinks, like, the dude.
I imagine him to be further upstream. Is where you think you met him. There was like he kind of got that, like you guys were here and it was a little clandestine. So like he dropped you off early. He wasn't going to go and just sit in the little marina for you.
Sure.
He was going to wait a little bit further upstream is how I imagined it. So we can.
There was an understanding between us and whatever his name was.
I had to look it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So Hyle will be waiting for you upstream somewhere. So you swing by the tower, collect your things, Salistria, and make your way down to the river. But let's head back now to Highgarden and see Mara as Lord Costain provides you an audience. Rather, you provide him an audience. That's the way it goes. That's the way around. He enters as usual, with his slightly saggy neck and ginger chops that seem to go on for meters. No, no, don't worry. If you follow Susie's tweets at all, we've been making them in WWE 2020 or whatever it is, and there was a graphics glitch for Costain. But anyway, back in the room. I need some relief after that intense scene. It's about to go to another intrigue, right? Okay. Yeah. So he enters, and what's this? This was kind of, you had a little bit of lunch, didn't you? So yeah, this is just after lunch, I imagine. Then. So he's entered, and he's wearing quite fine noble garb today, a doublet in gold and black, that are his colours, and he greets you warmly. Let's all of us roll a status breeding test. Let's do it. And this V is going to be, because I have tried to keep them more two sides of an intrigue going. It's going to be my first three-sided intrigue.
Oh.
So you could influence both Lord John, you could influence Mathos. It's up to you, and they'll have their own objectives.
I rolled a 12.
It's alright. I don't know what that was. I didn't see it yet because I'm not on the thing.
It's 15 for Sir John.
That's alright. That's alright. And 12 for Lord Mathos. Alright. So these two men greet each other as old friends. Mathos is invited by Lord John to enjoy a little bit of the wine that's left if he wants. Any of the snacks that are left. Lord Mathos, no, I've just eaten. Thank you. And then Sir John asks him about what happened and about his son. And Lord Mathos tells Sir John a very compelling version of the account of what happened at Fox Hollow. You can infer from the way he speaks, it is heavy on the details of Sir Oliver having killed Lord Peake, or Sir Gorman, of the fact that he approached Alistair to confide in him that that's what he'd heard, that he wasn't sure what Lady Marcia was doing, and that his son reacted quite viscerally to the announcement that Lady Marcia and Sir Oliver were to marry. And I'm just going to roll this because we know his meta by now, right? Which version is this? Oh, jeez. 3 6s. Gives Sir John a point of frustration as the kind of thought that his son, his chivalrous son, as they regard themselves as such a kind of chivalrous family, would act so rashly, right? Right, so we got to work this out. I mean, this is going to be like 4 degrees of success. Insight comes off of his cunning rank. This is 20 damage. Yeah. I I'm going to fudge just a little bit. I don't want this to just be a one and done. I want to give people a round to get through this. Let's put him on a couple of points. Actually, he can take more frustration than that too, so he's going to take a couple of frustration. As he considered, Mathos was telling him about what happened, and now you have a chance to get a word in.
I think Mara listens to this description and, she's told this story many times now. She's heard people tell it back to her many times now, but it still makes her uneasy. And I think midway through that conversation, she kind of gets up and goes over and she fusses pouring herself some more wine or picking at some grapes or something, anything to kind of physically distance herself from that conversation, even though she can hear it.
She does what you call in the theatre industry some business.
Yeah.
She just does some business.
And it's the only way she can stand to listen to it, because she can't just sit there listening to Costain tell it so viscerally again.
Yeah.
Because I imagine she heard this several times during that trial of somebody telling this.
And heavy on these details that basically point out what Alistair's possible triggers were, right? Especially the betrothal that was mentioned. And this is kind of the point Mathos kind of pushes home a little bit. He says, you have to remember, John, that he had just heard that he was to marry Mara's mother-in-law.
I think it's when he makes that final point, she finally turns around with this goblet of wine that's taken her a few minutes to pour, and kind of stands there against what I imagine is one of her dresses, one of her side tables, and kind of gently, but still quite poised now back with her posture against it. I don't know how many more times I have to listen to that story, Lord Costain.
I am sorry, my lady.
It is fine. It is the truth. It is what happened. The question is, what happens now? It was the Lord John that requested you here, as I'm sure you know. He tells me that you are old friends.
We are, yes. Our houses are not that far apart, given the kingdom's size. We've known each other for a number of years at court.
You have been a friend to me all the time that you have been with us, and a friend to my husband.
I would like to think so.
There is a bigger game happening here at court. I have heard rumors of it. From people here, from the lips of singers. Believe me, my lord, I trust you. But I would like to know what this game is. I heard your speech in the trial. You weren't talking to the prince. You were talking to the lords that sat among them. And she looks at Lord John in this moment as a look of well, I've pointed out the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
She's waiting for him to segue over to him, but she kind of, and it's in this moment of power, I think, for her, where she revels in that. I understand that something is happening. When she knows that she knows something.
Yeah.
She almost straightens up and takes a sip of the wine. And at least for this minute, the tired, upset, slightly broken Mara is gone. And she is back with that court face, that scheming face, almost, as she looks directly at Mathos as if to say, I know you know something. And then looks over to Lord John as if to be Now talk.
Yeah, Lord John kind of like leans over in his chair, and he says, "Enough, both of you." Some frustration. What game are you playing here, Mathos? Because look where games get you. And he says, not to Sir John, but he looks up towards you and he says, yes, I was rather playing to the back row, but that was the true audience of that trial. And I was not the person to start it. That trial was intended to be a message for the Reach, and now he turns his gaze towards Sir John. A message to the Reach from this house, Targaryen. They are the absolute word on everything. They alone, their words, their voice carries the rule of law, but we both know that is not the case in the Reach. We both know that the lords of this realm carry as much weight as their Lord Paramount.
At this, Mara, I imagine, paces back towards the chairs. She doesn't sit, she stands, moving her chair, like pulling that chair out of the way. What you speak of is treason, Lord Mathos.
Except it isn't. Ancient laws of this realm, as its petty kings obeyed since the first men, since the gardeners. We have a right to vote. We have a right for some self-determination. And we have a right, checks and balances, to hold the Tyrells to account. Get enough of those voices. Get enough of those voices to disagree with his lordship. And he is powerless to do anything. This realm can now go one of two ways. It can either be broken down and bend the knee and never see these rights again. Or we can prove ourselves. We can prove our heraldry, our lineage, our right. From first men to now. And we can go to war with the Dornish houses that would so happily come and invade our lands.
You're not after the crown. You're after Highgarden. And what would removing the Tyrells do?
No, my sweet child, no, it is not the Tyrells I want at all.
You want war with Dawn?
There are means, and there are ends. And it actually suits us. The Tyrells still sit the throne. That oak chair. Sir Longthorn couldn't joust his way out of a small council meeting. It's nothing so selfishly ambitious that I would want a high seat, Highgarden. No, of course not. There are certain people in this game that do not seek station or platform. And yet they are the one that move the pieces. I am a voice, a quiet voice in this court, but hold a lot of influence.
That I do not doubt. But I do not enjoy being a pawn in other people's games.
Oh, you haven't been a pawn in anyone's games.
No, I know. But unless you are a player, you slowly become a pawn, Lord Mathos. And while you say that there are many in this game that do not seek to raise their station, forgive me. And she looks at both of them. But there are many men that play games who do not need their stations raised. Because unlike some of us, they already have station by merit at their birth. Some of us have to work for that station.
Then you
And
understand. What is birth, if not a lucky circumstance? And yet it is favoured so highly by men for eons.
What does war with Dawn do to help anybody here aside from protecting the Reacher lands?
It tells the king a clear message. That realm was never welcome in these 6 kingdoms.
You would like to see him off the throne, then?
I hold no secret that I was a black in the last war. Favoured Daemon.
As did my father. Forgive me, all I know of that time is loss and bloodshed. They did not like to speak to women of war.
As did your father-in-law. And he looks over at Sir John and he says, "You can spare the mummer's play, I've already told her. If this, Mathos, is another play at a rebellion, and Mathos says, no, of course, no.
But there are rumours. I've heard them here at court of rebellion. Second rising.
Really? And by whom?
Nobody massively important, but rumours are rumours and they all start somewhere with some grain of truth.
Perhaps this truth is a spin on what we try to achieve.
You would rather see this land ravaged by another war with Dawn. Forgive me, this is difficult for me to swallow, having lost family already. Having family in Dawn. Do not forget my mother's lineage.
It does not immediately spring to mind when one looks upon you.
Alistair was a pawn. Was it you? Was it you who talked Peake into leading that skirmish?
Why don't you roll some dice for me?
Yeah. And she's asking him point blank. Like,
Yeah.
she's got a very no bullshit attitude. Like, she doesn't care if he did or not. She just wants to know. I guess this would be convince then.
Yeah.
If there's anything else that really fits it.
No.
Plus So it's 23 plus 6, so 29, and there are 4 6s in there, if that makes any difference to anything.
So what is it ultimately? 20?
29.
Oof. Yeah, that does. 4 6s. What's that on the cheat sheet, friends?
Uh,
'Cause I
is
don't
that
have it
on
open
the
anymore.
critical hits?
Yeah.
Crippling wounds. Target loses their status from their intrigue defense until the end of the next exchange.
Ooh. Right, okay. So that is gonna be fuck it, 4 degrees of success. I think so. Hang on a minute. Right, let's take 29 away from that. God, maths late. Ugh. Hang on, friends. Get a calculator out. That's 3 degrees of success. There's 17 left. Right. So 3 times your will rank
is 12.
Okay. Oh, no. He doesn't look at you for just a second and then looks back at you, trying to play that slightly higher status eye contact thing. Not avoiding your gaze and looking back. Not looking and then looking away and looking back. But he's, trying to elevate his composure a little bit by that. But he doesn't answer you to begin with. Then he says, very astute. So Gorman and I went back a long way. And again, so didn't he and Sir Oliver. Things are not as easily cut and dry as we would think they are. But I did not play your husband, your son. I told him exactly what Oliver told me. As he puts the cat down.
You see. I hate to speak ill
And
of the
his
dead.
actions were his own.
That is fine, that I believe. I love Alistair more than anything else, but he is not a wise young man yet.
On that we can agree.
I don't think that if you had played him quite that well, he would have made such a foolish decision. And I've told him as such.
I think it's at that point that Sir John, bashes his hands on his chair and stands up and he says, "That's enough! Both of you! These games, this treasonous talk, none of this is going to get our families anywhere."
I agree. But, my lord, there are only 2 choices when it comes to things such as this. You can be a player. You can move pieces on the chessboard. You can put yourself in a better position. You don't have to play in this game, but you have to play in the larger one at stake. If you don't wish to go to war with Dawn, you have to be able to move the pieces so that you do not have to. Or you can ignore the game and you can become somebody else's pawn. And you and I, all 3 of us in this room, have seen that happen. Here in court. It happens all across these 7 kingdoms. I am an honest person. I like to think of myself as one. I try not to lie and to scheme or to steal or cheat. but I've had to fight and play my way to the position that I have. Do you think that I managed to keep Alistair somewhat aware of what may be happening around him during that skirmish because he simply loves me and listens to me? No. I know what to say and when to say it. I know who to say it to. You can play games and be honest, my lord, but if you do not play, you will be played. Sit down.
Ooh. What role is that against your dad?
I don't know. I don't even know if I get a roll there because I've just made one, but that's Mara's thing.
The juicy fruit compels me. You get a roll. What is this?
I'm not sure. I feel like she is trying to she knows what he's saying, that he doesn't really want a part in this, that these games are just going to bring horribleness, but Mara knows through every experience she's ever had, if you are not playing, you get played. And so his only option is, if you don't want to be involved in this walk with Dawn, you need to play a big enough game that you don't have to be. And that perhaps he should sit down and shut up and listen.
Do it.
I'm going to go for convince.
Yep.
That's what I'm going for. So that's 23.
Oh yeah, this is Sir John.
Like, she doesn't want war in Dawn. She doesn't want war at all, but she also knows that men are idiots, so they're not going to listen to her when she says that's a bad idea.
23 there?
23.
Is 3 degrees of success. What's your will rank?
4, so by 3 is 12.
That's a good chunky thing. All right. So you have compelled your father-in-law, basically to kind of go along with what's being spoken about.
I think it's more to not necessarily to go along with it, but to sit down and perhaps listen to what's going on, understand it, so that he might do whatever it is to stay in it or have some kind of hand in it, but so that he is aware. She doesn't want him walking out this room going, I'm not playing this, and then
yeah, for sure,
he becomes some kind of pawn or some kind of side issue that somebody has to deal with later. She knows how this works. He needs to be in the game somehow to have any chance at surviving it.
Yeah. So I mean, like, factually speaking, I don't really have anything to add. He goes over again what law's at stake and like what the facts are about how lords of this realm have a certain amount of kind of like voting power, much more than others, essentially in the canon that we've set up, and that he plans to just convince lords of this realm that he can, to demonstrate their lawful ability and to go to war with Dawn again. Of that, you can imagine Sir John is not best pleased, but is willing to see what plays out. I would like to round up tonight's session with one last little scene with the man with no name. And Don, what's his thing immediately after this? Like the day or so after, what's his journey, and how is he going on it?
So he has, not that anyone would know, but his true face. And he's, an old man. He puts on the show of having to walk with the assistance of this sort of walking stick. He sort of looks homeless, right? He sort of looks like a beggar.
Yeah.
He would walk the beach, take his time all the way to town. And he's on the lookout, I guess, for any ships that are docked in the port in Ironwood, particularly if any of the Martell ships are still docked.
There aren't any Martell ships here still docked. There is a Gargalen vessel still in port.
And are there Gargalen and Martell soldiers still in town?
You look around, and primarily it's Ironwood garrison soldiers. But there are still a handful of Gargalen sailors, really, rather than like guards or soldiers.
And so are there the ships that we saw at sea? It's not just Martell ships, it's Martell and Gargalen ships, right?
Yeah. There were a mix of some minor houses as well, but they were the notable names and heraldry that you saw.
So I think he spends the night at the tavern, or whatever taverns are still open, right, where sailors might be drinking late at night. And
I'd love it to be that tavern that Briar was in.
The Briar was at, perfect. Yeah. What was its name?
I don't know. I don't think we ever figured out a name for it, but like it's a little bit beat up, just around the edges. But there's still a little bit of hospitality to take from the bar, as the barkeep serves you as you like.
Yeah, I think he kind of wanders in, like sits down, has a drink, wanders out, and sits down with his back to the wall by the door, and he takes out like a small tin cup, right? And he just he puts a couple of coins in it, he jingles it around, and as people are coming in and out, he keeps his head down, but he just kind of very exhaustively calls out, alms for the poor, food for an old man. Just kind of waits and watches, taking any money if anybody gives him any.
Sure. People aren't that giving right now. There is a woman and her daughter who can give you a couple of copper pennies.
Bless you.
And then I imagine, as you're kind of baiting or targeting, that there are a couple of sailors who kick up a fuss that the barkeeps even let you in here, begging. And basically, like, what's this guy doing here? He needs to get out. And these guys, being salty Dornishmen, have a darker complexion, more kind of caramel skin. One of them's bald, like clean shaven head. The other's got kind of shaggy, dark brown hair. Both fairly athletic, but kind of thin limber men.
And do one of them appear more drunk than the other?
Sure.
Yeah, so he'll wander over once to the one who appears a little more drunk, and he's got his tin can in his hand, and he just sort of says, will you help an old man? I am saving to book passage to see my family.
I can't believe my mind's doing thinking this. Right. He so this is okay. We can stop at any point. He unbuttons his trousers and would like give it a second and piss in your cup.
He openly weeps, and he just starts to wail. It's the sound of like just a person at the end of his life has nothing. And he like leaves the bar, empties his can outside, saves the coins, and continues to kind of move away from the bar to find like an alleyway nearby between two buildings. And he knows that once a drinker has started to urinate, It's just a matter of time before he has to go again. And he's going to wait for that man to leave and go find a place outside to relieve himself. And then that's when he's going to try to make his move.
It surprises you that the other sailor who was in there with him is the first to appear. And he actually makes a beeline for you. And he comes up to you and says, I'm very sorry for my friend. Please take this. And he gives you I think it's like a groat or something. Like it's a higher like denomination than a copper penny. It's a couple of toms.
Wipes a couple of tears from his eyes and says, oh, thank you. Not all men and not all hearts are made of the same metal. Yours is good. What's your name? Sorry, Sam.
Carl.
Carl. Thank you, Carl. I, myself, I have no name. And unfortunately, my son, the many-faced God cares not if your heart is big or small. And he slips his dagger from beneath his cloak and drives it straight towards the man's sternum.
Yeah. I imagine a bit of an Assassin's Creed move, like pulling him round behind the bushes and the trees.
That's right. And he's fast, too. He is not slow despite being old. So when he moves, it's with quickness, grace, and very smoothly pulls him into the shadows at the same time. Do you want me to make a roll for that?
No.
Can I, just for fun?
Oh, okay. What is this then? Like stealth something?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, Dawn. Okay.
I hadn't gotten to make a roll yet today.
That's fair.
Everybody else is so cool.
Okay, Don.
Okay, Dawn. Okay.
That's naughty. That is naughty. All right, cool. There's your real name. Yeah. So that's where we leave it. I think that's the end of the session. Him being pulled into the bushes, and another face is acquired for the many-faced god. All right.
His
friends.
name was Carl.
His name was Carl. I have a table. I know you. I'm comfy.
Sorry, I'm the worst.
I've got a rollable table now. It's not full yet, but I got a rollable table. It goes up to about L, I think. So they're all the first half of the alphabet. All right. Yeah, F's in chat for Carl. Well, thank you so much, friends, for joining us. If you're watching, and obviously watching back on YouTube, check us out every Thursday. We're here for one more week live, and then we're having a bit of a break, but then we will be back for a season 4. I'm very excited for that, because we get to have a little time jump, and we get to I am actually genuinely looking forward more than starting, actually having like a almost like session like 0.5, like having a kind of another session 0 with these characters that we've come to know and love, and that we will get to know when it comes to Tom's new character as well. So it should be super freaking fun. Let me go around and ask people where we can find them on the internet and what they're up to next. Susie, what's the crack? You gonna start streaming again when your PC's back up and stuff?
Yeah, once our PC's here, I'm back on your screens, invading your ear holes every day from 3 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. UK time. I'll be here playing video games badly, winning games with my shotgun and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll keep y'all up to date with my Twitter when that kind of stuff happens.
Nice.
But it's a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, for sure.
To grow some muscles because they're weak. But bring me my PC back, please.
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 One PC, please.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to the finale to see what happens, and then the time skip. I'm hype. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Thanks so much, friend. All right. And V, what are the streaming stuff you got coming up?
I'm probably going to do something tomorrow night.
Nice.
And same time slot as this over on my channel, which is Tabletop Horde. You can find me there on Twitch and Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm streaming yet. I'll pick something and run with it. But yeah, I stream every other Monday for a follower voted stream, and Tomb Raider at the moment every Wednesday. We're coming to the end of that. So if you want to see me and my potato aim, you should come and check that out. And then next Friday, it's my birthday next Saturday. So next Friday, I'm going to do a birthday stream and maybe do some viewer games or something. Planning, what is that?
I mean, we can't even spell your name right in chat. We had to do it like 3 times.
I
got a couple of
I'm surprised it isn't just !V, Sam, because
I don't know. Maybe there's
too
a
many
minimum character
letters.
limit. I don't know. I could do that.
There is definitely not a minimum character limit.
Okay, fine. I can change it to V, I suppose. I'm too lazy to bother, though. All right.
You'd rather just type out all 8 letters every time.
Apparently. Cool. All right. Wicked. We'll tune into that, and I'll grab that over the weekend. Fab. Jason, where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
At Just Jason Please on Twitter and like a couple other places. It's been really weird because I've just and I guess this is the first time I'm saying it on stream, the first time that I will be free of the obligations of master's studies because I'm graduating. So
whoop, hype.
Yeah,
Awesome.
So now I got to get employed, and now I got to find some stuff to do in the meantime. But if you want to find out where I am at any one point, at Just Jason Please on Twitter. God, this was good. And I'm alive. That's great.
Well done.
Well done, me.
That. Almost as big an accomplishment as graduating.
Almost.
Oh my god, amazing. Don, what have you got coming up, man? We're still doing Veiled Alliance. That's still on the go.
So let's see. Tomorrow, over on Encounter Roleplay, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm running The Haunting of Seawall Orphanage, which is my original horror game. I do have like a new rule set for it, but I'm gonna wait and kind of let this current arc season play out and then adjust the rules some. But it's been a lot of fun. It's a really fun game, so I enjoy that every week. And then on Tuesdays, I'm streaming Rise of the Veiled Alliance, my Dark Sun campaign. We're doing right now some like flashback episodes until we can get all the cast together again. So like, I love doing flashback episodes. Like we can go all over in time. Characters can learn things about themselves that they didn't know, the players, and then they can take that back when we rejoin in the present day. It's really fun. It's a fun way to do it. So I'm looking forward to that as well. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LFM_network. But I'll tweet about that if you follow me on Twitter. And other than that, I'm just writing, editing, and running some games on the weekend too.
Nice one, man. Thanks so much. But just right before Seawall Orphanage tomorrow night on Encounter Roleplay, I'm going to be running the Spy game, so come around and check that out. As I said at the top of the show, I'm going to be running Oz Mills's mission that he's written for us for the actual Kickstarter that will be available as a little booklet, and it's called Fuelish Endeavor, and it is about a possibly corrupt US presidential candidate from California who is having a rap party for his husband's latest film, Much Speed, Much Fury, or whatever. I got that some way around. As of all things, I'm really pleased with the overlay because Charlie and I had a cool idea for it, and it looks sweet. There are some lovely little Easter eggs in it, so come around for those overlay Easter eggs, if anything. And tomorrow, because obviously we've got like a bank holiday here in the UK, I'm going to spend the day reacquainting myself with the rules just to check that I've got the rules right that I wrote, and I'm all prepped and ready to go. So I'm looking forward to that a huge amount. So that is going to be awesome. So come and check us out. Same time as this, 8 p.m. British time, or 3 p.m. on the Eastern Seaboard. That's it. That's the stream. Cool. We should probably go and raid someone, right? I don't have it set up. No, I'm a half set up because we came back really late. So go and check other people who might be streaming right now. Encounter Roleplay are probably finishing up quite soon. Check them out for another kind of half hour, an hour or so. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We're going to just sign straight off. So thanks so much. We'll see you again for the finale next week. Ta-ra.